And we're here once again, only on its After Hours, only on the After Hours YouTube channel. Joining me here on location, this young lady here. Well, you know her from her many vids, her OnlyFans. She's a very beautiful, very elegant, very sexy woman who a lot of big
Oh,
things are happen here this year for her, and we're excited about it. I give the gorgeous, the lovely, the talented. I give you it's Miss Kellie Shin-Blasian. So, Miss Kellie, let's start off here with the big question. How do you do it? I mean, how do you keep track of Sex Panther, you have many vids, you have OnlyFans, you shoot for your website, you have Twitter, Instagram. Like, how do you keep track of everything when that's a lot of work?
well, I don't. So it is a lot of work. I just do it. I don't really think about it's just like one of those things you just try your best and try to do the best you can. And that's what I try to do. I just try to make sure I'm present on, each one of my platforms as much as possible. And I just kind of go from there. I try
So,
not to put a lot of pressure on myself like that, if that makes sense.
so how'd you get involved in this in the first place? Like, what made you decide to become an adult performer?
How much time do you have? Just kidding. Okay, well, it's one of those things. I've always been in some sort of art form. So, I started modeling as a teenager, and I didn't quite fit commercial modeling. Just kind of how I was built, and just didn't fit that type of modeling. So I looked into kind of fine art modeling, posing. So I started there. So I started with fine art, going to artist guilds and posing nude. So that's how I got started. And I started getting into the more photography side, doing nude and erotic work. And it was over a period of time because I don't know if you guys know, I'm older. So I'm not a young person. So, it was over a period of 20 years that pretty much got me here. Nothing like big and magical, like one day, like, oh, this is it. It was like kind of gradual steps. I always kept my hand in modeling, even though I was working a different kind of job or in a different field. So I always made sure I kept my hand in it. And, I think 2020, somewhere around there. Actually, no, 2019, I take that back. I just got to a point in my life where I didn't want to do what I was doing anymore. And I wanted to do this full time because I've always done this on the side, but I was never I never gave it a lot of time. So in 2019, at the end, I decided, I'm going to try to give this, 100% of my time. And I left where I was working and to pursue this full time. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Uh-oh. Let's
I
see.
can hear you.
Can you
So,
hear me?
next big question is this. So, how much work goes into this? Because everybody thinks it's easy nowadays. Oh, I have an iPad. I have an OnlyFans. Hey, I'm shooting stuff. Yay. You put work into this. I'm looking at your clips and it's a lot of, different angles, it's different positions. So for you, like, how much work do you put into just one clip?
Well, to be honest, it's something that I learned. So my first scene, okay, so how I kind of started, right, with the whole, making videos, transitioning into videos, I was kind of making home movies, kind of more in the swinger lifestyle because I kind of did some swinging. So I would ask permission with the guy, like, hey, okay, if I, film you so I could kind of put this on my website. So that's where I started. And then where I really learned the art of it, right? I start meeting people like Bobby Lucas from Smokers Lounge, who's has a porn background, and I was invited to a shoot house by Richard Mann. Richard Mann's just won a AVN award and I think an Expo award. But yeah, so he's been in the field for a long time. And when I first went to the shoot house, that's really where I saw how things kind of happen. Um, you learn that, oh, okay, it is about fucking, but it's just not all about fucking, right? Because sometimes you get into fucking and it feels really great, but it might not look really great on camera because no one can see anything. So you start to learn that once you start working with other professionals, and that's what happened. I got to a point where I was meeting other professionals and learning and seeing how they were doing things. So I was like, okay, this is how it's done. But yeah, it is a lot of work, but it's one of those things you have to find people that actually do this as a profession, or have an interest in it.
How tough is it also like building a brand, building something that's unique? Because it's no matter what you're doing, you're competing with thousands and thousands of people, whether they're big, small, old, young, big boobs, small boobs. I mean, you're trying to fill out a brand here so people go, oh, I want to watch this video. I want to watch her. What is your brand? Like if somebody just met you off the street and they said, well, why should I, invest in, watch Kellie Shin-Blasian Goddess? Like, what would you say is your brand?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And it's you mentioned being unique and being competitive. And to be honest with you, I don't do this to answer to someone who would ask me a question like that. If someone's going to ask me, like, well, why should I watch your stuff? I'm not going to waste my time to even give you an answer. That's up to you. I'm merely here to express myself and make what I feel like I would like to make and how I want to be represented and how I want people to see me. It's one of those things. Everyone's unique, so no, I don't think everyone's in competition. Sex is sex. You're going to have it forever. It's a human nature. Mostly everyone is into it. So I don't see it as competitive. I see it as there's plenty for everyone. So it's like, I just kind of do me. I guess my brand is I do me. I do what makes me happy. If I was into the business of trying to please someone or try to satisfy someone else, I go back to a 9 to 5. That's what you do when you go to work, right? I'm working for myself. So I'm going to do what makes Kellie Shin happy and what Kellie Shin wants to create. So, if someone were to ask me that question, I wouldn't answer it, to be honest with you, because, it's like, take a look for yourself. I don't have to sit here and, convince you. If you have some time, hop on my platform, see what I'm about. It's there. All the information is there for you.
So here's the toughest question. Like, what do you like versus what did the fans like? Because you want to shoot your own stuff, the fans want other stuff. What's the difference in terms of what the fans like shooting, what you like shooting?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I haven't, it's one of those things. Um, you know, I haven't had an incident where, fans are like, oh, I really hated that. Like, it's one of those things. I try to, create what I'm thinking in my head or the mood I'm feeling right now, or, that's what I'm trying to recreate, and hopefully the fan will enjoy it. You know, it's one of those things. I haven't had that experience maybe yet, and so I can't really speak on it. I can't really expand on it, but for right now, I haven't had you know people really say too much to me about why don't you do this, or I'd like to see this, or I try to do a little bit of everything that, again, that I think is cool and feels good and I want to do.
I mean, hey, like just like what are some of the things you like shooting the most? Like if you could shoot everything you want,
Oh,
like what do you like shooting?
I really love blowjobs. I love giving blowjobs. So like I'm always like down for a good blowjob scene, you know. So like that's one of my if you were to ask me what's your personal favorite, that would be my personal favorite. I'm into like very much into giving blowjobs. So that's what I'd like to do. But like I said, I try to like to whoever you're shooting with, they might have an idea. And I've shot with a lot of great male talents who are like, hey, have you ever tried this? Or you want to do this? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Maybe things I don't necessarily think of. So this, like, so again, maybe with it is about what I do. You're working with, they might bring some good ideas, and they might have a different a talent that they could, maybe, hey, have you ever, been, done had this done to you before? Maybe they have the experience, and I always want to experience something nice and different. So again, it's I guess a kind of collaboration of both the talents.
Take me to, let's say, like the most exotic thing you ever did, or most erotic thing you ever did. Like, give me something that you did that you're like, holy crap, this is pretty awesome. And it was, you didn't think of it. It was just all of a sudden like a spur of a moment, or somebody suggested it. Like, give me something that you've done that you never thought was going to be possible, or you didn't think was going to be pleasurable.
I actually did a scene where I was like really into licking the guy's ass. Like, never thought that would happen. Cause I don't know, just the thought of like a guy's ass has never been like, ooh, yeah, right. But something about this guy's ass for whatever reason, I was like, ooh, yeah. And I just like went to town, like just like literally just tonguing him down. So if you would have asked me prior to that, like, hey, would you ever do that? Probably like, no.
You know, it seems like you're very heterosexual. I'm guessing, like, do you ever shoot with other women, or is that something for you? It's like, I'm just not into it.
No, again, I'm very new to this, field. So it's like one of these things, like I haven't shot everything, because it takes a little bit to shoot. Um, so I'm totally open to it. I have personally done three ways with females and in my personal life. I just haven't done it on film yet.
So for you, what do you prefer more, girls or guys? Because I'm guessing, like, with guys, you get to be more submissive, whereas with girls, you get to be dominant because you're a very tall, very statuesque woman. Which do you like more?
I wouldn't say either. It just really depends on, I can't give you a hard this answer. It really depends on my mood. And my mood, I'm a Gemini, so I have different types of moods all the time. It goes all the time. So one way I might be feeling this way, and the next way I might be feeling the other way. I definitely will tell you this. I definitely like dick. So if you gave me an option like, hey, this is the last time you're ever gonna do it, what are you gonna pick? Pussy or dick? And then I'd pick dick.
What's on your bucket list? Like, what are some of the things you want to do this year that you've been like in the back of your mind thinking of? Doesn't even have to be sex. It could be like anything you want. Like, give me some things that you've been thinking of going, I want to achieve this. I want to do this. This I want to get done this year.
This year or just in general, because I have different types of goals. I'll have like short term and long term,
Well, so start with this year, but with short-term goals, the short to mid-term goals this year.
I just want to shoot more and have more variety in my content for this year. I want to be able to shoot with various types of talents, and just have more variety in my library. That's something that is a goal for this year. And eventually, I want to like go overseas and shoot. Like I want to go to Europe and shoot. I grew up as a child in Europe, and I left. Before I was an adult. I want to go back and like go shoot over there with all the hot, sexy European guys.
So I gotta ask you. So when you say like you're a child of overseas, like I'm guessing you grew up like an army brat and everything like that. So what was that like for you growing up and like learning different cultures, learning different things, and how did that help you in terms of getting to where you are now, where you strike me as a very cultured woman?
Well, I grew up in culture. I come from two cultures, so started in my household. Looking at my mother and my father, they come from two complete different backgrounds. I wasn't quite an army brat. My dad worked for the military, so I spent a long part of my childhood in Germany. So, I come and I lived off base. So I didn't live amongst Americans. I lived with, when we say off base, I lived on a German economy. My neighbors were German and so forth. So, um, just that was normal for me. So I wouldn't say, it's really not normal to be in a place where it's just all one type of like, when I go to places, I'm like, wow, this is like, you don't see much diversity here. That's really weird to me. So diversity and being around different cultures, that's always been normal to me. Being around just one or like one main culture, that's weird to me.
you mentioned before you want to go back. Where would you want to travel? Like what countries would you want to shoot in?
Oh, definitely would have to go back to Germany. Definitely want to shoot there. And I don't know, like just, I would say probably like Italy would be cool, or like even in like maybe in the UK. Um, you know, I would say Germany for sure because Germany can be kind of wild, you know, sexually. And that's something I recognized as a kid early on, right? But I didn't get to experience it because, I moved away before I was, of age to really do anything.
Long-term goals. What are the long-term goals for Miss Kellie Shin-Blasian?
I want to make porn as long as possible. I want to keep making scenes and also shooting scenes as well, shooting other people's scenes and being in this business for a very long time. I don't want to be in and out. I want to have longevity in this field as much as possible. So I'll be fucking for a long time and giving blowjobs.
I was going on, as you mentioned before, and as I said, we're blessed to have a beautiful, gorgeous Kellie Shin-Blasian on the show. How big is this year for you, like traveling to conventions, whether it's Exotica, whether it's AVN, like because you mentioned you want to shoot with a lot of people. How big is that for you in terms of like finding other content creators and going to different locations so that you can start working with people who are on the East Coast or on the Midwest or on the South,
Well, I've
the South.
I've worked with quite a bit of great talent so far. Just going to shoot houses. I'm with a network, Team BP, and people like Mr. Nuts or Mr. Mysterious, Richard Mann, Jonathan Jordan. Those are people that are part of that network, and it's a very big network. And I've been able, I'm blessed and been able to get into that network and work with the great talents, there. And they have shoot houses and events all over the country all the time. It's either Vegas or Atlanta. I'm going to Atlanta in April, going to Vegas in June, probably going back in Vegas in August. AVNs were in Vegas, so I was there with Team VP. And the upcoming Exotica, I'll have to see maybe in Miami. So there's lots of traveling this year, just kind of getting out there. And again, I'm still new to the business, and I did never been to AVN. So this past year, that was my first time in January going to AVN ever. Going to Exotica, that will be my first time ever this year. So, again, all this is kind of new to kind of see where everyone goes and where, you do find your peers and where they do meet up. So this is all, very exciting and very new. So, it's probably going to be a ton of traveling this year, just going to different events.
So before we let you go, and as I said, you're a very busy woman, you're very, you know, entrepreneurial woman here.
I try to be.
Is there is there anything that you have, in terms of like balance? Because every porn star joke I talk with, the joke is, yeah, we can make our own hours. Next thing you know, you're working 24/7 because you're
Mhm.
uploading, you're chatting, you're doing, content trade, you're editing, you're sending out clips, you're doing all this here. Like for you, how do you find a balance so that you're not just becoming a 24/7 workaholic?
Well, I think a lot of it comes from, my background prior to this. For a large part of my life, is I was an athlete, and as an athlete, you had to learn, especially a student athlete, you had to learn to balance everything and still perform and come through. So I take a lot of that experience into here, and I think a lot of people, you know, when you say brand, your brand is you and your team. I have a team that I work with. There's no way I can get through this by myself. I have a team of people that I trust and I work with, and they help me edit. They help me do things. We all kind of work together to help each other yeah, because it is a lot of work. And when you find a network, you find that, hey, some people, hey, I'm really good at this. So I can do it, much quicker than you can and do a really good job. And So again, that's where you find a team that helps you. That's how you build a brand. That's how you kind of get out there. It's very hard to do that when you're by yourself and you're solo.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we're very proud to have on the show and honored. I have Miss Kellie Shin-Blasian Goddess. So, Miss Kellie Shin-Blasian, let's ask a big question. Where can fans check you out at? Where is a Twitter page, Instagram, the website? I'm
Yes,
guessing you have a
I'm
YouTube
all over the
channel, a many Vince
yeah,
channel. Where can fans
I am
contact you at?
I'm all over the place. I'm KS Blasian Babe on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at blasiangoddess.com for my full length videos. You can find me at blasianmilf.com for full length videos and custom videos. That's my MediVids. And you can find me at naughtyblasian.com. That's my OnlyFans. And that's where I do a lot of my behind the scenes footage that you won't find necessarily on other websites. It's more like kind of more personal, like if I'm shaving my pussy that day or something, or, maybe I found a dick to suck, whatever. That's where I kind of post those kind of things. So so again, either blasiangoddess.com, blasianmilf.com, or naughtyblasian.com, any of those.
Kellie Shin-Blasian Goddess, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, always an honor, pleasure. I've got a show. We come back, a lot more going on here. Only on It's After Hours, only on the After Hours YouTube channel.